Right, folks, we have a mission. As you know, we gave away 3 copies of Football Manager 2019 yesterday. And I'm going to give away some more copies if we get the channel to 40,000 subscribers before the release of the full game on the 2nd of November. It's a tall order, but, you know, if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a very good time to subscribe to the channel. And if you know anyone else who is interested in Football Manager or Football Manager content or anything along those lines, why not drag them along? If we get to the when we get to 40,000 subscribers on the channel, then we will start another giveaway and give away more Football Manager 2019. Hello and welcome to my Football Manager 2019 beta save with Chelsea. I'm Kev, and coming up on this episode we have 2 matches for you. We're at home against Southampton in the Premier League and also at home against Dynamo in the Europa League. Since you were last with me, I would call this positive. We got ourselves knocked out of the Carabao Cup. That's a positive in and of itself. We had a very good result in the Premier League, putting 6 goals past Burnley in a game where we actually went behind. We had a comfortable win against Marseille. And the one I'm most proud of, we went away to Manchester City, an actual full-strength Manchester City side this time, dug in, defended, and grabbed a late goal. And it was a late wonder goal from Eden Hazard. I don't normally show you replays of previous goals. However, if I recall, this was a very good goal. It was at like 1:30 in the morning last night, though, so there's every chance I'm remembering it wrong. The fact it's starting with a Man City throw in an attacking area suggests it was probably quite a good goal. So, here we go. We're on the break here, and we still haven't got the ball back. I mean, how long are you going to give me for the highlight? Come on, Football Manager. Unless this is the most ridiculous counter-attack in history. There's Eden Hazard there. This is the goal scorer. So, he's got the ball now. And he plays it forward towards Giroud. This must be the move. Giroud plays it back to Hazard. Still inside his own half. And he's off. And that's a goal, boys and girls. Told you it was a good one. And that got us a draw. And we are now back top of the league again with a game in hand. 12 games into the season. 31 points from our first 12 games. 1 point clear of Arsenal and Man United and Tottenham. Obviously a win against Southampton now opens us up a 4-point gap, which would be very nice. This is the team that we're putting out there for that game as well. We have had a little bit of an injury problem to Kepa, who has not conceded very many goals this season. Only 6 goals conceded from 9 games. 4 of them were against Tottenham as well. But he has suffered the dreaded broken leg. Anybody who was watching my Back in the Borough series last year will know just how devastating a broken leg could be on FM18. I do hope it isn't the same level of devastation on FM19. Although looking at that, we're already plummeting down on the ratings. We need to keep an eye on that. He might not be the same man when he returns. And in the meantime, we've got Caballero at 37 years old as our first choice keeper and a 38-year-old Rob Green as our backup keeper. We've got £10 million to spend in January. We're probably going to need to invest in a goalkeeper, but it's still November and we've been without Kepa for a month already. Caballero, don't know how to say his name. He's been doing fine, but I think we are going to need to move some players on in order to fund a goalkeeper purchase. And I'm thinking probably Cesc Fabregas, probably Victor Moses, Danny Drinkwater. These are all players who aren't really getting in my team. Fringe players who we could, Fabregas in particular, we could move on for some decent money, especially as his contract's up at the end of the season. We're probably not going to renew it. If we can get 10, 15 million pounds for him in January, that gives us 25 million pounds to spend on a keeper then, which that would be pleasant because we really, really need one. I'm not even able to identify one yet, but I have sent my scouts off a look-in. So our team is Caballero in goal, a back four of Alonso, Luiz, Rudiger and Azpilicueta with Jorginho still as a halfback. We've got Barkley and Kovacic in midfield, Giroud up front with Hazard and Willian as supporting players out wide. Because we've got an injury. Hold on, let's get the under 23s off of here. Look at the state of this injury problem. So Kepa's injured, but then we've also got an injury to Drinkwater. We've got an injury to Morata. Morata's going to be out for a month or so. It's a weird squad at Chelsea. There's a lot of players who are out on loan who could definitely do a job in the team. The likes of Batshuayi in particular, Kurt Zouma maybe as well. There's a couple of others as well who I would be wanting to have a look at. So there's plenty of players. Yeah, let's give them a performance. There's plenty of players around the squad, but the actual first team squad is very thin and weirdly patchy in places. I can only assume that it's a squad that's set up. Will you stop asking me questions? I'm trying to talk. I can only assume it's a squad set up to play a different style to the style that we're playing, because there's a huge overabundance of central midfield players and we only use 2. There's very little in the way of attacking midfielders, strikers, those players that I like to use a lot of. So it seems like it's set up for a much more conservative play style than the one that we're doing, which is weird because I understand that's not what Chelsea do in real life. Full disclosure, I've not seen a Chelsea game this season or last season, or I don't really watch the Premier League. But still, we've gone 1-0 up after 2 minutes. It's more good play from Hazard, good cross onto the head of Willian, and these two linking up is a fairly common occurrence for us this season. It doesn't really matter whether it's Morata or Giroud in that attacker role. Neither of them have been particularly effective. I can't wait for Kasper Dolberg to turn up in January and offer us something a little bit different in that lone striker role, because Morata and Giroud, I would happily move them both on. I'd probably move them on without a replacement coming in, and we'd just play somebody else there. Stick Ross Barkley there. Anyone. Stick Hazard there. I don't care. Whoever we play in the middle isn't being particularly effective. I think Giroud has 2 goals from 10 games. Morata's like 4 goals from 10 games. And they're not really contributing to the build-up play either. So I expect more from a striker. I either want them to be involved in everything, or I want them to be scoring a goal a game. It's not good enough to be doing neither. Tasty little free kick from Alonso there that just goes wide. See again, Giroud. And this is a common thing for our strikers. Worst player on the pitch. And we don't have a backup striker. When we inevitably take Giroud off, it'll probably be Ruben Loftus-Cheek who comes on to play up front. Alonso's got even closer with another attempt from pretty much the same spot the first one was from, maybe slightly further away. Surely if he gets a third bite of that cherry, he's sticking it in that top corner. And it's a bit of a messy midfield kerfuffle going on here. But Ross Barkley comes away with the ball and plays it back towards Alonso again. Here's Hazard. We know what he can do from these deep positions, but instead he finds Kovacic, who runs at the Southampton defence. And we're hassling them here. We're putting them under pressure, which is all good stuff. But we do need to make sure we get players back to cover and defend, and that's what Jorginho's there for, and that's exactly what he did. Willian intercepts, and it's with Kovacic again, and we've got players in attacking positions. Kovacic is just going to run and run and run, finds Ross Barkley, back to Kovacic again, beats his man, now in a crossing position, and there's Giroud in the middle, hits the frame of the goal, and it rebounds, and here's Alonso. In fact, Alonso decides to let it go out for a throw, rather than chasing it down to cross back in. I probably would have done. Right, here we go. Here's his third bite of the cherry. And it is in. And he's patting his head and rubbing his belly to celebrate. It would have been less complicated to just score the first 2 free kicks. How many opportunities were they going to give him? And in actual fact, I think that's probably the hardest one of the 3, because it's a much tighter angle for him to stick it into the top corner from. But that's exactly what he did. You give him 3 opportunities to take free kicks like that, and he's going to score at least one of them because he's very, very good at it. Right, we will calmly say, I am pleased with the performance. They're delighted. We're all staying calm. And we're deciding what we're going to do about the striker situation again. I mean, we are still scoring plenty of goals. There's only Liverpool, I think, who've scored more goals than us this season. And Liverpool, last time I checked, were down in about 6th place. Well, has the league table disappeared off that screen? How does this keep happening? Give me back my league table. Why does the league table keep going away? I remember having this problem on FM19 as well, with stuff just disappearing. Stop disappearing stuff. Yeah, Liverpool are down here, but are scoring goals for fun, but also conceding a lot of goals. There's Hazard making it 3. If we stretch that out a little further, you can see goal difference-wise, it doesn't actually show goals for and against on that league table, though, which is a little unfortunate. But I assure you, what's happening? Why has it paused itself? I assure you, we have scored nearly as many as Liverpool and conceded far fewer. And this is a lovely little move again. And Hazard is getting better and better. The fitter he gets, the better he's getting. And it is an absolute pleasure to have a player like him in my team. I never thought I'd say that about a winger. I'm planning a double substitution. Oh, here you go, look. Bertrand saying, look, I can do it too. He was actually struggling a little bit. He had the dreaded red outline to his player rating before sticking that. And he only needed 1 attempt. And, I mean, it's a pretty good free kick, to be fair. I've seen some nice free kicks on FM19 so far, and that was definitely one of them. I would say Alonso's was probably a little bit better though, but we are going to take off Giroud and stick Loftus-Cheek up there on his own as a complete forward, which isn't really a fair way to give him opportunity in the team, but we're going to get Cesc Fabregas on as well in midfield. There's an argument probably for playing maybe Fabregas as a false nine or someone like that, rather than sticking Loftus-Cheek up there, but it's really just a man to occupy a space on the pitch. It doesn't really matter who they are. They're not really contributing to the play. So Loftus-Cheek can play up front. He may as well go and play just there. We're going to stick De Jong in behind the midfield too as well. We should probably just drop back to our counter-attacking tactic as well. Just for the last 10 minutes or so. We're only 2 goals to the good. Let's get back to the pitch. We want to see what's going on. So we may as well just hold on to the game now. Let's not let Southampton back into it. I don't like the fact that they've scored. I'm not used to letting teams score against us. But we've won the game comfortably. We need to keep an eye on some of these fitness levels because Willian and Kovacic in particular looking very tired. Possibly players who should have been brought off a little earlier in the game. But a win is a win. We've won it comfortably. We've controlled possession. We've played very well. Let's keep the passion up. Well done. Good win. Everybody's happy. Marvellous stuff. And now we are going to go and play a Europa League game. So a little bit of rotation then for the Dynamo game, and we've also switched to our 4-2-3-1, our most attacking tactic, as we're at home in the Europa League against a team we should be capable of smashing. So we've shuffled our defence around. It's now going to be Emerson, David Luiz, Delight and Rudiger out at right back. He's not really comfortable playing as a wing back, but he should be fine. Fabregas gets a rare start in midfield alongside Kante, who returns to the side as well. Hazard keeps his place. Barkley moves further forward to play in behind a lone Loftus-Cheek up front because we may as well rest Giroud. And Victor Moses gets a rare start as well out on the right wing. This is really a bit of an advertisement for Fabregas and Moses. We want people to notice they exist in the hope that somebody comes in and makes an offer for them. In January. There you go. Go and impress me. Of course they're going to impress me. And now we get a tunnel interview. Yes, rotation. That's why Jorginho's not playing. Nothing to do with the fact I still haven't really found a way to get a performance out of him. He's probably the lowest average rating in my outfield players is Jorginho. He just doesn't fit into the way I want to play. I can't get away from the fact that we spent £50 million on him in summer, obviously before I arrived. And I do hope part of me thinks it would be nice if someone came and offered £50 million to take him off our hands and I could replace him with a more appropriate player for the system that we want to play. Because I don't think he's the man for me. Rudiger skips over a challenge. I said he's not a wing back, but he played like a wing back there, skipped over a challenge, played it into the actual wing back, Moses, who's playing on the wing, who just tucked it in front of Ross Barkley. And Ross Barkley, I think, might be our top scorer now at this point. He's played a lot of games in this shadow striker position. I did say at the start of the season that we might need to go out and get ourselves an attacking midfielder. I'm now fairly confident that we've got one in the shape of Ross Barkley. And I mean, he's always been a good player in Football Manager. For the last however many years, he was always a reason to go and manage Everton because he would obviously always put in good performances. He'd go on to become a superstar. And that doesn't seem to have changed since he's moved to Chelsea. He is still awesome. Emerson now with a great piece of wing play. There's Barkley again, but it goes just wide. So as it stands right now, we're top of the group with 13 points from, is that our first? It must be from our first 5 games because we couldn't have got there from 4 games. Dynamo or Dynamo? How do you say it? Not like I say anything else right, so it doesn't really matter. It was 6 points clear of them, so yeah, a win is going to comfortably put us through into the next round and actually secure first place in the group as well after a bit of a dodgy start with that initial away draw that we had early on. But once we've found our feet in this competition, we've rarely played a full-strength team, if ever played a full-strength team, and we're just comfortably cruising our way through this group, waiting for some decent teams to turn up in the knockout round. And looking through the groups, there aren't really any decent teams in it. It's going to be when the Champions League teams arrive that the decent teams turn up and we have to start worrying because there doesn't really seem to be anybody in that group of teams that we would necessarily need to worry about. We've just gone 2-0 up there. It's Ross Barkley again, 7th for the season. An assist for Loftus-Cheek as well, who just nods it down, flicks it on to Barkley, and it's another good finish from Ross Barkley. Loftus-Cheek just glances over at him, muttering something about, why aren't I playing in that attacking midfield position? I could have 2 goals now if I was playing there. Well, it's because, Ruben, you're not as good as Ross Barkley. And now this is a problem, because our best player has got an injury. Do we have anyone? We've got both Pedro and Willian on the bench who can come on from. We'll bring Pedro on. Just, again, in the interest of rotating players. Willian's played just about every game so far. Emerson seeing the two left-backs in the last game in the league, both sticking it in the top corner, has a go himself and isn't quite as accurate as either of those two were. But obviously Alonso took 3 attempts before scoring his. So yeah, we'll give Emerson another couple of tries. Kante into Barkley looking for his hat-trick, but there's Pedro. Fires it over from the edge of the area, and half an hour in, we're absolutely dominating. We're over 60% possession. Dynamo haven't even had a shot yet. We're already through. We're absolutely in control of this game, and it now becomes more about keeping our players fit, very much keeping an eye on the conditioning thing, and seeing how many goals we can score. Let's have a nice confidence booster. Fabregas across to Pedro. Barkley misses the easiest chance of the 3. He could have had a first half hat-trick there, but fires over from about 6 yards out, and it was a terrible attempt, and it's gone all the way back to Caballero, who plays it out to David Luiz, back to the keeper again. We're just knocking the ball around for fun now. This is the advantage of having ball-playing defenders at the back. They're actually playing the ball around nicely. Rudiger's just going to take his time as well. We're on a controlled possession system. We don't need to faff about doing anything too high tempo. Just keep hold of the ball and then attack when the opportunity arises. Emerson with the cross, falls to Loftus-Cheek, and he grabs his second goal of the season. I don't remember him getting his first. But there you go. Look, play him as a striker, he'll grab a goal. Ruben Loftus-Cheek does still exist, even though in my world he's now a striker because I've played him up front and he scored a goal. It's a nice little cross from Emerson. Kante's in again. Kante could have had his 7th for the season, I think, if he'd have got onto that, which is just ridiculous. Play Kante as a box-to-box midfielder, everybody. He's a free-scoring box-to-box midfielder playing as part of this system. And certainly made a nuisance of himself there, directly leading to that goal. Right, are we not getting a half-time? There you go. I don't know why it didn't go straight to that screen. We're just going to stay calm. Calmly warn them not to let their performance drop because we've been playing very well, but we don't want to get too silly. We don't want to get too overconfident. I also don't want to get too overexcited with them for a game that really we should be able to stroll to victory with our eyes closed. I don't want him to think that I ever doubted them. Right, Kante's picked up an injury, which we can't see because he's also got a yellow card, but we're going to take him off in a second. We'll just let this highlight play through. So Moses out to Rudiger. It's a terrible pass from Moses. Decent cross from Rudiger, though. Pedro can't quite get there, but it falls to Emerson. Kante, with his last touch, sticks it into the goal from miles out. And there, it's the 6th goal of the season for Kante, not the 7th. But this is, he's not the same player. I'm vaguely familiar with his work from the real world, and you don't see him do that very often. There we go. That can be his last touch. Let's get him off now. Preserve him a bit. Kovacic can come on and play alongside Fabregas for the rest of the game. Even though Moses and Fabregas are both tiring, I'm just going to leave both of them on because they're not players who are in close to contention for the next league game. So we'll leave them on the pitch just to run them down a little bit and give them the opportunity to really put in a performance and play their way back into the team. But keeping an eye on that. So Moses is tired. We don't need to worry about. I need to have a look to see who else is tiring and just make sure. David Luiz is one we need to keep an eye on because he's a regular starter. Outside of him, I guess there's no one else really. Barkley, I suppose. Ross Barkley has played most games this season, so it might not be the worst thing in the world to take Ross Barkley off. Maybe even bring Giroud on for Barkley and drop Loftus-Cheek back into that attacking midfield position just to give him an opportunity to play there because he hasn't really had an opportunity to play there all season. So we'll make that change, see what Loftus-Cheek can do as the attacking midfielder and see if it's an opportunity now for him to push himself into contention. There you go. There's the word for a starting spot at some point in the future. But there's Pedro making it 5-0 and this has been easy peasy. Dynamo still haven't had a shot on target. We've absolutely controlled every part of possession, controlled the entire game. Delight now gets himself an assist as well with a lovely little nod down to Pedro. And come on, we want 6. I like scoring 6 goals. Fabregas with the corner now. And it's not to a blue shirt, but we've still got the ball. obviously, because we have the ball all the time, because we're good at keeping possession. Kovacic, across to Moses. There's Giroud. There is number 6. 86 minutes on the clock. 6-0 to Chelsea. Giroud with his 7th for the season now. And an assist for Victor Moses. So, all goes towards making clubs potentially more interested in him, because he's, of everybody that we're trying to get rid of, he's the most obvious that just doesn't fit in the squad at all. We don't play with wing-backs, and that's really all he is. Although he's had a good game as a winger, 9.2, 2 assists. If I was here scouting Moses, I'd be making an offer after this game. Rudiger now plays it into Moses. Can he have a hat-trick of assists? Plays it into Kovacic, Fabregas, Rudiger. I mean, he's never going to get there. Never in a million years was he getting there. But we have done very well. We are still going to stay calm, say we're very happy, but not get too overexcited with it, because the same reasons we said before. We don't want them to think that the Europa League matters. Right, we will end things there for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.